What's up, boys and girls? Today we're going to get down and dirty with this BMW M5. I've got some SMG fault codes. If you've been watching my channel, you already know that. If you haven't been, we got a clutch activation deviation that the dealership tried to do without replacing the part when the insurance work was done. So we got a PLCD fault and a clutch adaptive procedure not complete. And then I mistakenly tried to do a transmission relearn as well with my new Creator Elite scan tool. And you actually can't do the transmission relearn until you do the clutch relearn first, according to this. So I'm really hoping that once I get the PLCD sensor in, that the transmission will just clear itself up because it wasn't an issue before. So, first things first, we're going to get this up in the air on the hoist. We're going to have a look from underneath. I believe the exhaust got to be dropped, probably the drive shaft. Might have to drop the cross member for the back of the transmission and let it hang down. It's been a while since I had this up in the air, and I didn't really ever investigate that side of the transmission too much. So we're going to see here once we get into it. We'll get her up here. GoPro turn off. Alright, so first things first, we're going to get this pan off out of our way here, this undercover. Which that's going to be half a job just on its own to do that. So let's get that cover off and we'll have another look. Alright, well, instead of doing this like step for step for you guys, if you're getting into this job, you're obviously a wrencher if you're willing to take something like this on. So, where do I start? We took the exhausts off, which I made mine true dual exhaust. There's no more X pipes, so that's easy. We got that off. Before we took the exhaust off, we had to take the rear subframe brace off. And there's what I got so far laid out for parts and pieces. I took the under tray off. I took the skid tray off from underneath the motor. I undid it here at the converters, which, as you can see, I didn't got the front ones yet. I'd like to, but they say if I do that, it'll set the engine light off. So now our next step is to get these heat shields off. We're going to get at this drive shaft and either drop it or completely yank it out. And then we're going to get our transmission jack in here. And we're going to see what our motor mounts are made of and lower this cross member piece down. And hopefully I can get my eyeballs on that GD sensor, because so far right now all I can see is the wire. Yeah, good old GoPro batteries. So yeah, all we can see so far is the sensor wire going up, and the other two ends are right here in the bottom of the SMG block. So yeah, I'd like to get my eyes on this before I start trying to get those little Torex bolts out. And I already said worst case scenario, if this thing got to come out and hit the ground, that's what's going to take place. So we're going to get this heat shield off, which here's my assembly of parts and pieces, bolts, nuts, whatever you want to call it, fasteners. So really not too bad yet, but there's going to be a lot more, I figure. So we're going to get these heat shields off and get at that drive shaft. Alright, so we're getting even deeper here. The drive shaft's laying on the floor. I just depressurized the SMG system with my scan tool, and we just did a check for the SMG fluid, and supposedly you're supposed to fill it until it runs out. And with it depressurized, Matt just dipped the stick in. There is fluid into it, but it definitely looks like it's down. You had it right to the elbow. Yeah, so we need a pretty good drink of CHF11S fluid, which you'll see they write right on the bottom of the pan there, CHF11S only. There we go, so you could read upside down. So another thing I want to show you guys that we noticed is we got the fill plug out, and we didn't hear no funny noises when we were taking it out, and it didn't feel like we done the damage. But this fill plug has got a nasty little split into it. But all in all, my system was showing all kinds of pressure. And like I just said to Matt, if that plug was leaking, it would be running down this side of the SMG reservoir. So I think it's going to be all right for the time being, but I'm definitely going to see if I can get a hold of ECS or somebody and see if I can get a new one of these plugs. If not, well, like I say, it's not actually leaking, but it's just kind of a peace of mind thing at this point. So now I think we're just about ready for the trans jack and get that cross member unbolted, lower this puppy down, and see if we can get some sort of a visual on this friggin' sensor. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting the beast beat now. We've got the transmission lowered down. Made sure it wasn't pulling on any wires or anything when we did so. Everything seems to be good. I've actually got the 2 Allen key bolts out of the PLCD sensor already. And if you look, it's going to be hard to see, but you see the fill plug for the hydraulic unit. It's basically right up above that. I'll see if I can get a better shot here with a different light. So it's right up above here. That's actually the lip for it. So it's literally right above that SMG fill box. And if we look from this angle, there we have it. There's where your 2 Allen key bolts go. So with it lowered down, a guy said he had a really hard time to get at it. Well, it's really not that hard to get at with it lowered down. Just use a couple extensions. So now you got to pry the bugger out, and hopefully my buddy will be here with a new one this evening. And we got some CHF 11S oil coming to top this reservoir up that seems to be down. So we're going to get all that done before we stick it back up in the hole and try to do a clutch learn. And I think I'm just going to leave it all apart until I get the learning stages done, just in case we do go to yank it down again for some stupid effing reason. But I don't know why everybody curses these cars so bad. The only curse to them is you need to buy your own scan tool, so you don't got to rely on the dealership to charge you $5,000 or $6,000 for these little jobs. All right, we have the sensor out, and we just did a pretty good visual inspection over the harness for it. I don't see any corrosion, any sign of wire breakage. We checked the harness on the car end. I'll grab the light there for a sec. Up there in that plug, that all looks clean and good where we disconnected it. It's a little tight getting it through here by the oil cooler, and it likes to get hung up on that other wire there, so make sure you just tuck that back up when you're done. But the sensor came out really easy, didn't even have to pry it, and I was able to get a hold of both of the Allen nuts and not drop them. As you can see, like, the sensor has its own little body built right in the transmission that it sits into. So yeah, we got this thing beat, ladies and gentlemen. So now we're just waiting on the new sensor. I'll get it in, we'll semi put it back together, some of the pieces. So I'll do the reprogramming, and then hopefully Bob's your uncle.